Hey guys, Dan from Trading with Dan here. Hope you guys are all well. Had a great day. So another day of very little movement, just very narrow range bound trading in Bitcoin. So the 10-minute chart, if you were still on the 10-minute chart, you would have been put in a buy position basically around 8,700. But as I mentioned yesterday, I was changing over to the 15-minute chart and waiting for a buy signal, waiting for us to break up, and then see obviously what happens with that trade if that is the direction the market takes. Because obviously in the 10-minute chart you can see we're in one of those periods of chop again. So I was moving to a higher time frame whilst this area kind of resolves itself. But yeah, if we look at some of the higher time frames, the 30-minute is obviously also in a sell, but with the 30-minute chart signaling along at around the 8,800 level. But the hour chart is still showing that we're in this bullish structure, still bullish movement upwards, albeit a couple of wicks down below the buy line. But we looked at those yesterday. They were quite bullish looking wicks. So yeah, not really a lot to report on the DMT trading. So there was another thing I wanted to just have a little chat about whilst we were here, and we didn't have too much to talk about on the Bitcoin chart. I mean, well, actually, there were two things. One of the other things is, I mean, you can always use a different asset, so you can set this up for ADA basically Cardano, which is also, you also trade on Bitmex. So obviously you can see we've had a few signals in here. We did go through a period of chopping in Cardano as well, but with these altcoins, rather than the more aggressive Bitcoin strategy, I tend to see where we are on the 30-minute or an hour chart, and if we are in a bull trend, then what I'll do is only really, as in a bull trend, as in where we've got the green line, the green DMT line underneath us, as opposed to a sell trend. What I will then do is then look for long onlys on the smaller time frame. So yeah, that's a way that I actually play that with the altcoins. And yeah, the other thing was I was having just a bit more of a macro view, more of a fundamentals view. I was reading through Tone Vaser's 2020 crypto outlook, which, yeah, I mean, half of the blog article is actually just reviewing the trends from the previous year, so 2019, so all the way down to here. He's mentioned a few things: the stability of the Bitcoin blockchain, which is obviously 100% uptime through the year. Yeah, no problems there. The cost and speed of transactions, which have stayed quite low through the year. The launch of the liquid side chain. Yeah, the growth of the hash rate, which has obviously been good. I mean, it does tend to lag price, the hash rate, because obviously people that have to buy the equipment and set that up, so that will often lag the price. Bitcoin will go up, people have more interested in them mining it, and then that takes time to filter through to actual increase in the hash rate. The rise in BTC dominance. Oh, sorry guys, sorry about that. Still got my bit of my cold going. Yeah, sorry. So the rise in Bitcoin dominance, which is obviously notable in 2019. Yeah, so from 55%, which from 2018 was obviously a lot higher than 35%. That was the lower 2018, but up to 70%. That's a strong move. That's a high percentage. That is of the total crypto market share for BTC. So yeah, so kind of what I wanted to highlight is something that is a concern for me. So the top out of the top 5 trends, Tone Vase sees in this year 2020 is privacy coming. So 2020 will be the year we finally get a soft fork with lots of privacy features. In addition, more and more wallets will start to offer coin joins and other ways to make your transactions more anonymous. We will finally end the insanity that Monero is useful, like how it is now obvious that Bcash and Litecoin are not needed to scale, as Bitcoin will have Liquid and Lightning. But yeah, so you see, this in theory, fundamentally in theory, you might think is great for Bitcoin, and for the Bitcoin fundamentals. Obviously, privacy and more wallets offering a coin join is a great feature. Anonymity is obviously in transactions. It is a great feature. It's something that we as people, as individuals, as ourselves wanting to transact with privacy, without people knowing what we're buying, what we're doing, the amounts we're selling or buying things for, etc. I mean, that is all great, but I mean, the big problem here for me is, the big problem I envisage with this is that governments hate privacy. Governments hate people having privacy. I mean, they want to know everything and everything, control everything, know everything about everything, especially when it comes to financial things, such as obviously Bitcoin is a currency. It is an asset that does have large increases in value. So it is something the governments do want to keep a very close track on. And there are companies like, I think it's Chain Analysis or something, that does work closely with like the US government to basically identify certain illegal activity that has been financed or ran or done through Bitcoin payments, that is. So yeah, so I can't see that this is going to, is definitely isn't going to endear Bitcoin to the world governing bodies. They are gonna see this as very bad, in much the same way that the FASB, the FASB financial accounting basically took a lot of the American budget dark, so people couldn't see what was going on. So in much the same way, the government wants its privacy when it comes to its spending, or where its money's going, where your money's going, your own money is going through the American government. I mean, the last thing they want is privacy. If you guys to have, the normal people to have privacy, they want to know everything on you guys, so they can basically get their tax money. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. They will obviously pretend it's for people doing other things, other nefarious activities with the money. Well, that obviously happens with all currencies, all money. That would happen with all fiat currencies. But yeah, so I can see this as being a real issue. It's a sort of like, it's like, they're upping the stakes, like 100% upping the stakes and the risks involved with Bitcoin coming under a lot more scrutiny and regulation, and then even outright banning. I mean, it's one thing to regulate something if you can, and you can keep track of it all in the blockchain, but if you get to the point where you can't feasibly do that due to privacy features, I mean, all they can then do is ban it. So, I mean, I'm not saying in 2020 we're going to get privacy, then Bitcoin is going to be banned, but it's definitely going to cause a lot more friction with governments, with people that want to control everybody and everything in the financial system. So yeah, so that is a big problem. And then yeah, another thing sort of coupled with that, Bitcoin, if it was successful as it was intended to be, is obviously a massive threat to the current fiat financial system. So in much the same way that, I don't know how much you guys understand or look into the gold and silver markets and other precious metals. These asset prices are heavily suppressed with paper COMEX futures contracts or NYMEX futures contracts, depending on the commodity, on the metal. So that is even with, like, for example, silver, being an industrial metal, it is mined. Mines are relying on the price being able to make money from the mining, otherwise they won't carry on as an ongoing concern. But even with that, prices are still suppressed. With those actual metals being a real physical thing that is physically mined by companies and is in demand. So when it comes to Bitcoin and whether that can have its price suppressed if it poses any sort of a threat to the current monetary system, then I mean Bitcoin isn't something that's needed for any industry. I mean there is obviously a balance with suppressing silver prices low enough, as low as they want to keep them suppressed, and then obviously having to have mines still mining silver because it is still needed. So obviously if you do get an actual real supply shock because the mines are shutting down because the price has been held too low, then price will actually go up quite a lot quite quickly. I mean, and then we are seeing that in other precious metals. So palladium is one that is going on a very big price rise at the moment because literally apparently there is no metal available in the financial products that trade it. I mean, palladium is an interesting one because almost all of the supply, I think 80% of global supply comes from Russia and South Africa, with Russia being the largest one of those two, largest supplier. So Russia did have enough of prices in palladium being manipulated, so they actually stopped supplying the actual physical metal to the exchanges, so they couldn't obviously meet any physical delivery requirements that they needed to, and then that caused the price to massively spike. So yeah, and then also rhodium as well. Rhodium obviously is a lot smaller, market size, but yeah, it's massively appreciating due to supply constraints, and basically a blowout of the suppressing of the prices. I mean, when it comes down to it, fundamentally, what you have to see on a worldwide basis, all currencies, all fiat currencies, are being debased, but they are, fortunately for all world currencies, apart from some that have obviously gone a bit off the what's the word I'm trying to look at, off the plantation, of like such as the Venezuelan currency or the Iranian currency or even the Turkish lira as well. Other than that, they're all worldwide major currencies are being debased, but they're all being debased at the same time. So relative to each other, apart from obviously the runaway ones, you don't necessarily see the fact that they're all becoming basically worth less and less, with all the billions and trillions that's printed to just be dished out to keep propping up asset prices and suppressing interest rates. So what you will have is the price of real things against these currencies, because they are real things. I mean, gold. Whilst technically, I mean, people think of it as a commodity. I mean, gold is a currency. So gold is a currency that is backed by gold. So gold is gold, isn't it? So it's a currency that has its value backed by the actual value of the gold. So it's hard for them to keep the gold price down now when they are devaluing all the fiat currencies against each other. So they do use basically selling into the market, often in the middle of like the trading, in the middle of the night when there's not many traders about, so there's not liquidity, so they can smash down the price, blow out stops and get the price down. These are things they do to try and manipulate prices lower and suppress them. I mean, so my point is the fact that with with these actual physical metals that are a threat to they are a threat to the financial system in respect that they are showing like how worthless the currency is if they start appreciating very fast and very high. So the same way that Bitcoin is a threat to the system, potentially. So there is no reason Bitcoin isn't needed for any industrial process, and it isn't mined in the same way. It's called mining, Bitcoin mining, but it isn't actual digging out of the ground. So yeah, there's some risk that I see with Bitcoin going forward, and like how they are gonna play out in the price. I don't really know, but they are definite, clear and present dangers that I see. And then one other aspect of Bitcoin is that a lot of Bitcoin is held in wallets, the hodlers that haven't moved the coins. There's a lot of big holders basically of Bitcoin in wallets that have never sold or moved it for many years, and I believe Wall Street, as it is wanting to play the games that Wall Street plays, is gonna try and get these wallets to sell by forcing the price down. So I don't know necessarily whether they will be able to do this, or whether they will be able to do this. I've no doubt that it's something that they want to do. But yeah, I mean, like, it is a case of, can they actually do it? Will they actually be able to do it? But again, I think that risk is always going to be a drag on the price as well. So yeah, anyway, so none of this is financial advice. These are just my opinions on the market. Everybody has to do their own research. This is just for educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor. So yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. Sort of I rambled on a bit about some of the other aspects of Bitcoin that I do think about, but there wasn't a lot to talk about price wise. I mean, if we see just here, so I thought I would just take this opportunity to discuss some of my other thoughts. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, if you're not subscribed, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing. Any comments and questions, feel free to comment and I'll get back to all of those. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys.